German Chancellor Olaf Scholz now leads a minority government after he fired his finance minister and triggered the collapse of three-party ruling coalition. The country is preparing for a snap election and it remains unclear how much Chancellor Scholz can accomplish in the meantime. Deutsche Welle correspondent Emily Leshner joins us now from Berlin. Emily, g'day. So Germany's made significant promises to help in the fight against climate change. Does this domestic turmoil affect Germany's commitments?
It does. Scholz decided not to attend because of the government collapse. And at the moment, we have to remember he's leading a minority government. This means that any meaningful policies will, one, be hard to pass, and two, if they are passed, will have to be passed on an ad hoc basis. Now, snap elections have been scheduled for February 23rd, so you're likely to see a lot of focus on campaigning rather than a focus on how Germany is going to meet its climate goals or how it's going to help finance climate efforts in poorer countries, which is a major theme at this year's conference. And of course, the result of the election could impact its commitments too, particularly if a more fiscally conservative government is put into place.
And what about Ukraine? Does this political uncertainty impact future funding and support?
I mean, one of the disagreements between Scholz and the finance minister he fired, Christian Lindner, related to Germany's budget for next year. Scholz wanted to suspend Germany's debt brake, which limits how much debt it can take on year by year. And one reason was to continue providing Ukraine with the funding that it needs to fight the war with Russia. Now, there's a provision in the debt brake law that allows Germany to take on more debt when the country finds itself in extraordinary circumstances, which Scholz believes we are in at the moment. And he had been pushing for this before Trump was elected president for the second time. But it becomes ever more prescient since Trump had promised in his campaign that he would pull or financially lessen U.S. financial aid for Ukraine. And so, of course, this is going to have a huge impact on other countries that provide funding support for Ukraine because they will have to increase their contributions since Germany is the biggest contributor of all EU members.
And are there other ways that Donald Trump's second term might impact Germany and Europe's policy decisions?
Definitely. European leaders have been preparing for the possibility of a second Trump presidency for months, and it seems that now they'll have to put those preparations into place. And Trump promised tariffs of up to 20% on all European goods entering the U.S., so it's likely there will be retaliatory trade policies from EU countries in response if those tariffs are enacted. Some have speculated that Trump wants to rescue Boeing, which has faced a lot of different problems in the past couple of years. So this means that we may see a wave of aerospace protectionist policies from the U.S. that could harm Boeing's EU competitor Airbus. Trump also wants to get rid of a Biden freeze on new LNG projects. That's going to create uncertainty in the EU market. And Trump also just announced that Elon Musk will be the Minister of Government Efficiency. It's unclear exactly what that role entails since it's never existed before. But in the past, Musk has promised to deregulate the tech and AI sector, whereas the EU has feverishly been trying to do the opposite. So will conflicting priorities force the EU to be more bullish or to make concessions? That we'll just have to wait and see. And on the other hand, there are some Trump promises, campaign promises that might even be good for the EU, of course, at the expense of the US. But for example, Trump wants to get rid of Biden's Inflation Reduction Act. That drew businesses away from Europe and forced Europe to pass a package of its own Green Deal initiatives. So could some of these businesses move back to the EU? We'll have to see. So the answer to your question, yes, Trump's second presidency is definitely going to impact the way EU makes policy decisions in just about every area: defense, tech, trade, energy, you name it.
OK, Emily Leshner reporting there from Berlin. A quick look now at tomorrow's weather in the capital cities around the nation.